Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in a Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to give you guys a guide when it comes to the start of the game that's really going to help you guys out a ton. It's going to help you guys get a lot more shield off of the game, a lot more kills, and ultimately get a lot more wins. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and also subscribe to my second channel. The link for that will be in the description or the pinned comment. Turn on my post notifications and as well comment down below your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And as well, if you guys would like to support me in the item shop, all you guys have to do is go over to the item shop, go down to support a creator, type in my code is YoungHumor, and you guys will have me added and supported as a creator. I really do appreciate all you guys who do add me. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I wanted to be talking about some tips that can help you guys out a ton when it comes to the start of the game. I'm going to be going through pretty much everything that I think of and everything that I do off the start of that game. That just gives me such a huge advantage that allows me to just have such good loot going into the middle of the game. And ultimately that does help me get a lot more wins so much easier. So of course the first thing you want to do when it comes to landing is of course going to be picking the location in which you want to land. And so when it comes to something like that, I think there's really three main ways to go about it. So of course the first drop off the bus, right when the bus goes into the map, the first drop as soon as you're able to drop, that's probably the more than likely going to be the hottest drop there is, unless there's like a new area that comes out. So like when the island first came out, for the first day that was like the hottest drop, and then when new locations come into the game, for the next like day or so, it's going to be the hottest drop no matter where the bus is. But generally speaking, the most people you're going to see are going to be off the first drop on the bus. And so I like to call that hot drop. So if you want to go for a lot of kills and find the most people, that's probably going to be your best bet. It is a little bit harder though, because when you're dropping in on that many people, it can be hard unless you have a good drop to make sure that you get a good landing on that house. Grab the weapon, grab all the shield and everything that you need. But the next drop you have is kind of like a medium drop, where you kind of drop not at the very last drop, but not at the very first one, so it's kind of in the middle. So maybe like Salty Springs, which is a good one, because even though Salty is in the middle of the map, a lot of people do drop at this location time and time again, so it can be a really good place to land if you want to go for a little bit more kills, but also not have that many people, or like the most amount of people that would drop at that location. And then lastly, you have late drops, and that's just going to be the drops that are the very far end of the bus. It doesn't even have to be like Junk Junction, but it could be something like Pleasant Park if it's on the complete other side of where the bus originally starts. Something like that. Pleasant Park only going to have maybe like 1-2 teams at the very most. If it's a late drop, if it's an early drop, there's going to be a lot more. But if you want to go for a lot of wins, focusing on late drops is just going to allow you to run into the least amount of people and also just get it the most amount of loot the easiest way possible. So that's what I would recommend doing if you want to go for a lot of wins, a lot of kills off the start of the game. Just drop in wherever the first drop is, whether that's Pleasant Park, Paradise Palms, Retail, which I don't think that many people land Retail too much, maybe like 1 or 2 teams. Salty could also be a hot drop as well, because a lot of people do come here. But those locations, generally, if it's the first drop off the bus, then there's going to be a lot of people at those locations. So when it comes to actually landing at a spot, one thing that I always do, I say the majority of times, is I don't drop at the first house you're able to drop at. So say if the bus is going towards Paradise, or Paradise is the first drop, so when you're jumping out, I usually don't land at the first house that you would normally see. And the reason being is there's more than likely a lot of people are going to be going for the exact same house if it's the one in the front. And when it comes to landing at that house, if you want to get a good drop for it, you're going to have to be pretty low. And if you're pretty low and say you're not able to get that drop, you're kind of stuck, because you're already low enough you can't go to the houses in the back, and you're pretty much stuck there. And if you can't find a weapon, there's just no chance at all. But more times than not, what I like to do is go for the houses that are kind of towards the back, and the back could be whatever side the bus is coming from. So if the bus is coming from the left side, then the left side house is going to be first. And if the bus is coming from the right side, then the right side houses are going to be first. So it's not always going to be the same side. It's going to be the far side. It just really depends on the location of the bus. But if you aim for the houses that are in the back, even if you see someone landing at that house, you can easily turn to your right or left and grab a house that's to the left or right of it. And that just gives you a little bit more options, because sometimes a lot of games there's going to be players, especially if it's those hotter drops, you're going to have a lot of people who are really good at dropping, and they're going to have better lands than you are, and if they do, it's going to be very hard to get the weapon. But one thing that I always do and always recommend, if you are landing at a house, say if you're landing in Salty Springs, and if you're landing with someone, so if someone else is landing at the house that you're landing at as well, I typically more than likely like to land at the front door. I usually don't land on the roof, and for the reason being is there's a possible chance that there might not be a chest, and if there is no chest, then you have no gun and there's nothing you can do. And on top of that, there's a chance you can get some bad weapons. Like you get like a I think you have the automatic sniper in the game, and you get like an AK, or you don't get the best loot from the chest. I mean, you can get shield, that's one of the best possibilities, and that's what I would recommend looting first if you're the only one out the house, because it's just a lot quicker that way. But if you are landing at a house with someone else there, more than likely, at least for me, it's a lot better to land at the front door, because you walk in, the shotguns you're going to find more than likely are going to be on the floor loot, and then sometimes you can find shield. More than likely you're going to find shield in the chest, but if there is someone landing at the house, you're pretty much guaranteed a weapon if you walk in the front door, because you can look to your left or right, or even when you're landing, you can sort of look in through the windows and kind of see if you see any weapons. And that's usually what I do if I know I don't want to land at if I know I want to land at a house. I'll glide in, and as I'm gliding in, about to land, I'll look in through all the windows, see if I can spot a weapon, and that's going to be the weapon that I'm going to go for right away. Because if someone else tries to contest me, I'm going to go immediately for that weapon and have an advantage. And this next one could be really common sense, but if you're in duos or squads, I'd always highly recommend, especially for duos, if you want to be able to get a lot of kills and also win a lot of games off spawn, you want to for sure land to the house or land to the building right next to where your teammate is, or you can even land at the same one. Usually, if you're landing a hot drop, you really don't want to land at the exact same building your teammate is, because what if you land at a building and there's only like one weapon or two weapons that really aren't that good? Then you're kind of stuck having to challenge people with those type of weapons. But if you and your teammate are pretty good at landing and both get a house by yourself, more than likely you both are going to find pretty good weapons and you're going to be pretty set. So I would always recommend landing at the house next to your teammate, because if your teammate lands on the far side, and even if he goes down, it can be very hard to run all the way across, especially if it's a hot drop and there's a lot of people, to run all the way across the map and try to grab their tag, even though there is like a minute on it, because if there's a lot of people, it can be very difficult to run all the way around. And one other thing I do recommend too when it comes to rotating around at the beginning of the game, I always rotate around the houses on the outside, and the reason being is at the beginning of the game, unless you find a llama or you mine a ton of mats, you're really only going to have like 150 mats total, maybe even 200 if you do farm a little bit more than most people do. So with that being said, you always want to wrap around houses. You don't want to ever like go into like a little bit into the middle, because even if you do run into another player, even though you're not straight in the middle, to just back out of that situation to try to move around, you're still going to be burning through 100 materials. But if you are standing around the houses, maybe standing on the rooftops, going around the sides, if someone wants to challenge you, it's only going to cost you maybe like 20-30 materials tops. And when it comes to the beginning of the game when you don't have a lot of materials, that's just something that's going to be really smart to do, because it's not going to burn as many materials. It's going to be a lot harder for the other players to get a lot of damage on you, and overall it's just a lot smarter play for the beginning of the game. And I also do feel like the beginning of the game is a really easy way to get a lot of kills without having to be the one that has to go out and challenge everyone. Because I've had so many times off spawn where I've gotten 7, 8, 9 kills, and all I really had to do is maybe kill 1 or 2 people that landed by me, and then after that I would wait. Pretty much the other players will start fighting in the middle, which is, like I said, was a bad idea. You always want to rotate around the side or rotate on top of the houses, and that's exactly what I would do. I would just sit on top of the houses and I would see people fighting in the middle, and I would just sit there with my AR. And most people at the beginning of the game, especially when they're fighting, they're not going to have shield, so I can just sit on top of my rooftop and just get tag after tag on the players running by, and it just racks me a ton of kills at the start of the game, while also having zero risk at all, because all the people in the middle are going to be fighting, and you're going to be on top of your house, and almost nobody's going to challenge you, especially if they're in the middle of a gunfight. They're not going to just turn around and take shots at you, so you're not going to get shot at unless there's like another guy at a different house like sniping at you or anything like that, which for most cases I've almost never had that happen. But rooftops are going to be your best friend when it comes to the start of the game. You're going to get a lot of easy kills and also get a lot of kills at the very start of the game if you do abuse it. because most people eventually are going to move out of their house, and most people do make the mistake of just running into the middle to try to move around because it is the quickest way to do so. It's a lot slower and could be a little bit more time consuming if you are running around the sides, but that's just going to be the way better option. But that is going to be the #1 way to get kills, is just capitalizing and just abusing people who do make mistakes like running into the middle and just different mistakes along those lines. You can really abuse that, take advantage of it, and get a lot of kills off the start of the game. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.